So now we're going to listen to Melinda Tankard Reist, who co-founded the grassroots campaigning movement Collective Shout for a world free of sexual exploitation. That was 12 years ago. Collective Shout has had many successes against companies which objectify and sexualizes girls for profit, and has fought for restrictions on the sex trade in Australia and collaborated with global partners in campaigns, including against Pornhub. Melinda also speaks regularly in schools, helping young women challenge the harms of a pornified world and the sexist behaviors of porn influencers.
So I'm going to keep it brief because of time, and because I'll be going into more detail on these issues tomorrow. My colleague Caitlin Roper and I are doing a whole session on organising campaigns. We'll be unpacking in detail some of the campaign victories that we have had in Australia. In 2020, we had 2021, we had 20 victories just that year alone. We're a very small team. Five women, and we run campaigns in Australia and globally, and in that year we had 20 victories. 7 of those were global. One of them was against a multi-trillion-dollar corporation, Alibaba. We got child sex abuse dolls, replica children, babies, infants, lifelike, anatomically correct. We got 23 sellers, factories selling those dolls on Alibaba, the biggest shopping platform in the world. We got them all removed in just a few weeks. We got 3 porn magazines brought down in Australia, Zoo Weekly, Picture Magazine and People. Picture and People were in Australia for 80 years. We got rid of them in 6 weeks. All we did was put the photos of the executives of Bauer Media Group all over Twitter with the pictures from the magazines promoting rape and violation of schoolgirls, racist content. We just put their photos up there with the images from the magazines, and 6 weeks later those magazines were gone. We'll be sharing that in more detail tomorrow. As well, we are currently running some campaigns where we are calling on Playboy shareholders to divest from Playboy. So we are calling on Bank of America, JP Morgan, BlackRock, Vanguard Group to divest from Playboy. We were also part of the global campaign against Pornhub, and I was part of the briefing of the executives from MasterCard and Visa with our global partners. And as a result of that global briefing, MasterCard and Visa decided not to process transactions for Pornhub customers anymore. I was asked to mention our books, and so I only bought 2 to show you, but the rest are on the book table here. I authored Getting Real, Challenging the Sexualization of Girls, also Prostitution Narratives, Stories of Survival in the Sex Trade, with my dear colleague Caroline Norma, who is a friend and a colleague of Nat's here, first person accounts of women who have left the sex industry. And then this book, Big Porn Inc., co-edited with my friend Abigail Bray, who's now living in France, exposing the harms of the global porn industry. Gail Dines has a chapter in here, Sheila Jeffries, other amazing women. Robert Jensen is in here also. And then a very new book that I have the privilege of launching here tomorrow, He Chose Porn Over Me, 25 accounts of women harmed by men who use porn, first collection of its kind in the world, also published by Spinifex Press. How good is Spinifex Press? So this book really is to show the lived experiences of women harmed by compulsive porn using men. It really links porn and violence against women, porn as a driver of violence against women, a driver of sexism, coercion, misogyny, trauma, suffering of women. It's all here in their own words. Australian stories, women from the UK, US, Netherlands. So you might want to have a look at that. We are launching that tomorrow. And Caitlin Roper, my colleague, is launching her book tomorrow also. Sex Dolls, Robots and Women Hating by Caitlin Roper. This is a book that was actually one of the most shocking books I've read, and I spend my life reading terrible things, but that book is right up there. That's not a good endorsement, really, is it? But really, I do commend that book to you. Some of our other work in Australia, we are pushing for proof of age protections, age verification system, so that children can't enter rape porn, torture porn, sadism, incest at the click of a button. And we've been inspired by what you've achieved in France, and some other countries are rolling this out as well. Now, we had our previous federal government, which was a coalition government. It had agreed with us. We've been pushing for some kind of protections for children for a decade, and the previous government instructed the E-Safety Commission to come up with a plan to address protecting children from exposure to porn, to come up with a plan by the end of this year. And we are quite worried now about this plan because the sex industry, which wants no restrictions at all, they need to build the next generation of porn consumers. That's their business model. And this industry in Australia is very powerful. And this industry is, I've been sitting on stakeholder roundtables, government consultations on this issue, and given equal weight to all of the child and young people advocates on these roundtables. Equal weight is the sex industry, which has caused this whole problem in the first place. They are treated as equal to us, and in the latest consultation documents that we have read, they are given first quotes, slabs and slabs of quotes from the sex industry as to why there should be no restrictions, no limits at all to what anyone, including children, should be able to access online. So we're actually a bit nervous that we may lose this very minimum sort of bottom line thing that should happen. Just this one small obstacle in the way of children, at least, accessing this content. So we're not sure where that is going to go. As often happens in Australia, any good initiatives are steamrolled by the very powerful sex lobby, sex industry lobby, porn industry, sex and porn industry lobby. But, you know, we do press on. We also are involved in education in schools. And I can tell you that the stories are getting worse, and they're getting worse younger. So I have girls who are in primary school, we're talking 9, 10, 11, telling me that boys expect to choke them. Little girls telling me, he went for my throat, he put his hands around my neck. And they are talking about boys who are 10, 11, 12. And more stories now of girls telling me that boys are threatening to rape them or to rape their mothers and sisters if they don't send naked pictures. Now these children are 12 and 13 years of age, and this is you know, what you're saying is so true. We are breeding a generation of sociopaths. That is what's happening. We are breeding a generation of boys who are groomed in misogynistic behaviour. They are groomed in entitlement. Porn has put that pre-existing male entitlement on steroids. A big phenomenon we've documented in Australia is the rise of sexual moaning and groaning at girls. This is happening to girls in primary school. I'm now being asked to speak on these issues in primary schools in Australia. Girls telling us, for example, that if they don't send naked pictures, boys say to them, we're going to rape your mothers and your sisters. And I met 3 girls last month who sent pictures because they thought they were saving their mothers and their sisters from rape. Boys telling girls, if you don't send me pictures, I'm going to kill myself. I spoke to a 12-year-old girl who sent a picture because she thought she was saving an 18-year-old male's life. These are normal stories. These are the stories that I hear in Australian schools every day. A teacher told me recently that she overheard a 12-year-old boy talking to another 12-year-old boy. And the first 12-year-old boy asked the second boy, how do you know when you're having sex? And the second boy said, when she starts to cry. And I can't give you a better exhibit A of where we are at as a society. This descent into hell that porn has taken us to. That little boys think that it is normal to inflict pain on women and girls, that that's what sexuality looks like. What a tragedy for this generation. How will they learn about true intimacy, connection, mutuality, giving, you know, let alone love? Even the girls I speak to expect that sex would be painful, that it would hurt. They don't expect pleasure or enjoyment or anything like that. Female teachers telling me they're propositioned daily by boys. They tell me that boys try to take photos under the desk, up their skirts, down their blouses. I speak to more female teachers telling me they are leaving teaching because they say, we didn't go into teaching to be sexually harassed every day. We used to love teaching, now we hate it. And so we're losing a whole lot of really good female teachers because of this. So there's some of the stories that we document, we gather them, we lobby, we advocate, we run campaigns, we write our books, and we are doing what we can to stand up to the predatory multi-billion-dollar global porn industry. What you say about young people is true. They're recognizing porn is toxic to them, it is harmful to them, and more young people are resisting porn. Some of the global movements against porn now are being led by young people, which I think is a sign of hope. Because if this new generation resists it, we might get somewhere. And Nat, I love what you said, we resist. We just continue to resist. We do what we can. History will show that we tried, and I'm so grateful for all of you for filling this room up and showing you care about this issue and you want to see some change. Let's all be part of that change together. Thank you so much.